Good day, folks. Welcome back to Indaba Africa. Chris here once again today to talk about another issue in South Africa that's come to the news yet again. Sure seems like a lot of my videos of late have been on South Africa. Well, I can't help that. They're making all the news. As many countries have very little in the way of news on COVID-19 taking place, the actions of the government in South Africa continue to rise into the news each and every day. So with that, let's get started on the latest imbroglio that's going on in South Africa. Specifically, let me refer back to March when the lockdown in South Africa first began. At that time, the Small Business Development Minister, Khumbudzo Ntshavheni, said that there was no truth to the rumor that the government would be provisioning its business rescue assistance, the 200 million rand program, only to those who are majority-owned or black-owned businesses in South Africa. She called it fake news. Now, the problem with that, of course, embarrassingly for the minister and for the African National Congress, is that the reason that people believe that is because when the website first opened up for people to register to get this relief, there was a questionnaire on there, and in it, it said that you had to be a majority-owned business under BEE certification in order to get relief. Within hours, that was removed from the site, but thousands of people had already downloaded it and shared it. Now, in order to staunch the flow of bad news that the department was getting, Ntshavheni threatened those who spread fake news. Now, the fake news was information that the government provided. So how can you be prosecuted for repeating what the government has said? Is the government guilty of fake news? Now, that's a different story, and we're 2 minutes into this video, so let me switch to today and remember that she said race and ethnicity have nothing to do with the emergency relief programs. Really? That's what she said. Now, how many of us actually believe that? So on Tuesday, a court case appeared before the North Gauteng High Court in which the government determined on Thursday, the court determined that in the favor of the South African government, the Department of Tourism's use of its empowerment clause is not unlawful because, this is why they say it's not unlawful, because it does not perpetuate an unfair advantage for some candidates over others. But rather, the use of the empowerment codes has the effect of providing these candidates with a head start. Now, wait a second. How is it that you're not discriminating or perpetuating an unfair advantage when you freely admit in the court decision supporting the government's position that it will give some a head start? Now, how is a head start fair based on ethnicity or skin pigmentation or race? How is that fair? Not every person is the same. Not every business is the same. And you're simply perpetuating discriminatory race-based laws which are unfair and unjust to all South Africans, not simply to minority business owners. In these circumstances, in Wuhan coronavirus or COVID-19 days of COVID-19, in a Black Swan event that has nothing to do with race, that was not created by any particular race in South Africa to discriminate against anyone else, how is it even remotely possible that anyone in the South African government, which espouses to be a government that represents all South Africans, would continue to perpetuate discriminatory race-based laws? I thought we left apartheid behind us in the rearview mirror in 1994. Really? So, what's this all about? In early April, the department announced a 200 million rand program to help businesses impacted by COVID-19. Now, the relief is limited to 50,000 rand per business. That comes out to $2,732 at current exchange rates with the dollar to the rand. So not much in the way of money. Certainly not going to be money that's going to benefit large businesses, which have a high turnover. But many small businesses in the tourist industry, particularly souvenir shops, those who provide transport, things that have much lower turnover, or even some lodges and restaurants, could be helped by this money. However, they can't be if they're minority owned. So if you're not black majority owned business, you're not going to get this money. And the court has upheld this. So now the only option is for the plaintiffs to take it to the Constitutional Court for a determination, which they're doing. And the Constitutional Court has indicated that may rule as early as today. We will see if that's the case, or perhaps next week. So the South African tourism industry before COVID-19 employed 1.2 million South Africans. 1.2 million. That's 2 of every 100 people. in South Africa worked in the tourism industry. That's massive. And when you put it in terms of the number of people employed, that's even larger than the security industry in South Africa, which employs about 600,000 security guards and security workers, 1.2 million jobs. And it contributed 8% of the gross domestic product in South Africa's economy. 8%. For an economy that was already in free fall, in recession, and was suffering from woeful macroeconomic policies, this is not a good development. Why would the government deny these funds to businesses? Well, this is all tied to the 2015 Department of Trade and Industry's Tourism Empowerment Codes of Good Practice. But the thing is even if a minority-owned business complies with those codes, they're being denied the money, according to the plaintiffs, simply because they're minority-owned businesses. Now, if that isn't racial discrimination, I don't know how you define it. Please share that with me. So first in March, the minister responsible for small business claims that a government-prepared and released document on a government website, people telling others about that were perpetuating fake news in an effort to cow them and to limit free speech. Because remember, the South African government put in its regulations for the lockdown and for the state of the response to the crisis that they would prosecute people for fake news, perpetuating fake news. So she accused her opponents, or not even her opponents, those who freely reported the truth, as reporting fake news in order to cow opposition. Now here we are, not even a month later, and we see clear evidence, and not only do we see evidence of discrimination, race-based discrimination in South Africa, but we see the court supporting it with an argument that says that it does not perpetuate an unfair advantage for some candidates over others, but rather has the effect of providing those candidates with a head start. So what happens when the companies that you have not supported because they're minority-owned go out of business? Now, the problem with this whole ridiculous race-based position is that these minority-owned companies, 2 out of every 3 workers for them, on average, are black. So who are you really helping here? Who are you harming here? You're harming all South Africans by making a toxic environment tied to race. It's rather sad. Let me read a couple comments here. This from Dirk Herman from Solidarity, which is one of the 2 plaintiffs. Solidarity and AfriForum filed this case. Dirk Herman says, it is imperative that South Africa gets legal certainty on whether, in a state of disaster, the Constitution allows for discrimination based on race in order to qualify for relief. Solidarity is going to request access to the Constitutional Court. As the crisis is urgent, we believe the matter, too, is urgent. Dirk Herman from Solidarity. It's not only white business owners who are affected, but also all employees in the industry, of which 2 out of every 3 are black. Hunger and distress know no color. Amen, brother. Hunger and distress do not know color, despite what the African National Congress would like to have you believe. Am I hearing the National Party here? Is this apartheid? Is this 1985? Or were we outside Sharpeville in 1960? Seriously. ANC, you need to check yourself. You need to check yourself, and you need to explain your position on this, because it doesn't pass the common sense test for anyone who's an objective observer. Now, there you have it. That's my thoughts on it, folks. I don't want to keep expounding on this. It's already annoyed me enough that we still, in an age of an unbelievable Black Swan event, have government officials relying on racial selection and racial discrimination to decide who will get to survive and who will not get to survive. How is that right? It's not right. And if you think it's right, you need to take a look at life. That's my position on it. Well, I'd like to thank you for tuning in once again to this Indaba Africa production. This one about the tourism sector denying relief funds to minority-owned businesses, and the North Gauteng High Court saying that that's perfectly legal. Thank you for tuning in to this production. If you enjoy the video, please feel free to subscribe to the channel by pushing that subscribe button right down there. Be sure to push the little bell icon, toggle that so you get notifications of my future videos and all of my live streams, assuming that the YouTube notification system works, which, as most of us know, it is sporadic at best. If you have a comment, feel free to add a comment in the comment section down there. I do respond to comments. I read them all. Whether you're for, against, pro, con, as long as you're not abusive, I respond to comments. And also, I ask that you give a like to the video, because likes drive additional viewership. The more people as a percentage of viewers who actually like a video drives it. Well, this has been an Indaba Africa production. This is Chris. I thank you once again for your time, and I wish you a blessed day in the midst of the age of COVID-19.